Ethan's financial advisor slashed her wrists because Ethan ordered a ride to deliver medication for 47 yuan without reporting it. Grace threw him the 9th set of divorce papers, claiming they were fake. Chloe called him a freeloader, and Ethan signed them. Marcus posted a family photo, calling himself the head of the household. Grace immediately called, saying they could reconcile. A woman's breathless voice came through the phone receiver. "Your husband just hurt me. He's in the shower." At the sound of the unfamiliar female voice, Grace's breath hitched. "Who are you? What are you doing?" Her voice was choked with anger, like a wild beast poised to pounce. The other side didn't answer, simply let out a chuckle, and hung up the phone call. Grace went ballistic. She used every resource at her disposal, and arrived before Ethan in just 15 minutes. "I am sorry, husband. I was wrong." She held Ethan tightly, her eyes filled with lingering fear. "I know you're jealous, and you deliberately found someone to put on a show to scare me, didn't you? Don't worry, I really know I was wrong this time. You're not allowed to scare me again, understand?" Ethan replied, "I didn't scare you." Ethan pushed her away, calmly looking into her eyes. "We're already divorced." Grace paused, then spoke coaxingly again. "All right, my husband is the most generous. Don't be angry anymore, Tilda. I know what you want to say, the correct apology process, right? I've already prepared it." Saying this, she pulled a Porsche car key from her pocket, and handed it to Ethan. It was a car Ethan used to love. "Grace really knows she was wrong this time, Tilda sweetie. You've already forgiven me 9 times, but I kept pushing my luck. I am truly awful. But don't worry, sweetie, this is really the last time. Can you please give me one more chance, for Chloe's sake, please?" At that moment, Chloe, his daughter, also rushed over and gave Ethan a big hug. "Daddy, don't leave. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have yelled at you like that. Mom already gave me a stern warning. Just give Mom and me one more chance." His usually mischievous daughter now looked at Ethan so pitifully, even the hardest heart couldn't help but begin to soften at that moment. Not to mention, at that moment, friends and family poured in. They each held a gift box, all filled with car keys to various luxury cars. In addition, there were company shares, property deeds, and more. Ms. Grace is truly grand. A row of luxury cars at the hotel entrance. You'd think they were hosting a car show if you didn't know. Tilda, luxury cars are one thing, but the company shares, do you know what that means? Say yes to her quickly. Reconcile. Grace saw that Ethan remained unresponsive, and grew anxious. "Husband, I know you've always wanted to travel to Provence, and I've already booked the plane tickets. As soon as you nod, we can leave now. Daddy, I want to go play. Please, just say yes to Mom." Tilda shared pitiful expression, like 2 abandoned puppies. Ethan was about to speak when, the next second, an annoyed male voice came from the doorway. "Grace, why didn't you tell me you spent so much money? I've never received so many gifts from you. How can you just buy them for him? I knew you were lying when you said you'd let me handle the household finances. From now on, I won't care about you anymore." Upon hearing this, Grace immediately panicked. After spotting Marcus in the crowd, she immediately pulled her hand from Ethan's and chased after him. "Marcus, don't be angry, let me explain." Suddenly, someone called out to her, "Hey, Grace, so you're not reconciling after all?" Grace retorted irritably, "Reconcile what? Can't you tell what's important?" She didn't even spare Ethan a glance and left directly. The crowd took their things back, looking at Ethan mockingly. "Oh, it seems Marcus is still number 1. Look at M's Grace just now. I almost thought she was serious this time." Chloe also dropped her earlier obedient act, boasting triumphantly to Ethan, "If hadn't said shed buy me a new dress, I wouldn't have come. I thought I could coax you for a few more days this time, but Uncle is still more important, right? You lost again, freeloader. It's all because of you that Uncle is always angry. Maybe I should just give all these gifts to Uncle as compensation." In less than 2 hours, a luxury lifestyle vlog shot to the trending topics. In the video, countless luxury cars were parked in the yard, and Grace was clinging to Marcus' coat, coaxing him. Marcus, meanwhile, only glanced haughtily, finally softening his expression amidst Chloe's constant daddy flattery. Netizens commented one after another, "Whoa, have luxury cars dropped in price? I wouldn't even dare buy model cars like this. I counted, there are 101 cars in total. Does that mean 1 in 100? I am obsessed." If it had been before, Ethan would have surely fallen into a long and unquiet panic. Does still love Ethan, had been tricked by others. In the end, only constant arguments and emotional drain remained. But now, seeing this scene, Ethan's heart was unexpectedly calm. After liking Marcus' post on his social media feed, Ethan deleted everyone's contact information. From now on, he would have nothing to do with them anymore. At this moment, Sarah, who had gone out for a late-night snack, also arrived at the door. What happened? You didn't faint from hunger again, did you? Seeing shake his head, she slightly exhaled. After handing Ethan the porridge, she brought it up as if by chance. By the way, after you fell asleep just now, someone called you. Their tone was quite aggressive, so I just hung up. It didn't affect anything you were doing, did it? Ethan knew who she was talking about the moment he heard her. It was just a harassment call. I already blocked them. Without noticing the slight upward curve of her lips, Ethan began packing his things after finishing the porridge. In fact, Ethan didn't take many things with him. 10 years of marriage, and all that remained were a few scattered clothes and personal items. Ethan calmly booked a flight abroad for 3 days later. This time, he probably wouldn't be coming back. But before going abroad, Ethan had one last thing to take care of. The next day, Ethan went straight to the auction house. Back then, Ethan's career was at its peak, but said she didn't want to be a housewife. She wanted her own career, so chose to resign and stay at home to take care of Chloe. But starting a business was difficult, not to mention without startup capital. With no other options, Ethan had to mortgage the heirloom pendant his father had left him. By the time he was able to redeem it, the pawn shop had gone out of business, and the heirloom pendant was nowhere to be found. Only recently had there been news. Just as he walked into the auction house, Ethan heard someone call out to him, "Ethan, why are you here?" It was Marcus. Behind him stood several former mutual friends. Do you even need to ask? He must have found out Ms. Grace's whereabouts from somewhere, and here he is, tagging along eagerly. Didn't he act all high and mighty yesterday, refusing to reconcile? He's quite the actor. All right, Ethan, just come over and apologize to Marcus, and this whole thing can be over with. Someone reached out to grab Ethan's hand, but Ethan immediately shook them off. Apologized to a mistress. Ethan scoffed. I ordered a ride to deliver medication for my wife. What did I do wrong? Back then, Ethan sacrificed his personal career, willing to be a stay-at-home husband. Grace had said she would remember his kindness forever, but now, Ethan's life was worse than Marcus' dog. Not only was his daily spending limited, but he also had to report to a stranger. Ethan had endured it all for the sake of his family. But now, since Chloe no longer acknowledged him, then he wouldn't want either of them, mother or daughter. Ethan ignored them. The auction was about to begin. Ethan immediately took his seat according to his seat number, but looked at Grace, who had just returned from socializing, with an annoyed expression. Grace, where have you been? Didn't you say you'd protect me? How could you let this man step all over me again and again? Grace's heart almost melted with sympathy. I am late. Sweetie, what compensation do you want? Then I want this white jade heirloom pendant. If you don't bid on it, and give it to me, I won't talk to you ever again. Ethan looked closely. The item currently on stage was exactly the heirloom pendant Ethan had been longing for. Ethan immediately bid 1 million. This was already 200,000 higher than the previous bid, and no one would be willing to bid higher for this outdated heirloom pendant, which was far below its actual value. Watching raise her bidding paddle without a word, Ethan immediately turned and said, Grace, I've already left with nothing. How much further do you want to push me? Back when we had nothing, you promised me you'd redeem my father's heirloom pendant. Look closely, this isn't something for you to spoil your lover with. Grace was instantly silenced, then a flicker of astonishment crossed her eyes. She seemed unaccustomed to Ethan speaking to her like that, but in the end, she still put down her paddle. The host on stage was still asking if anyone wanted to bid higher. 1 million, going once, 1 million, going twice, but grew anxious. Grace, hurry and bid higher. Are you choosing him or choosing me? Tears welled up in Marcus' eyes. It seemed as if he would burst into tears the moment Grace dared to nod. Grace looked at Ethan, then at Marcus, and her gaze began to harden. Ethan gave a self-deprecating smile. Right, how could Ethan, her discarded ex-husband, ever compare to the lover she doted on? He had planned to leave then, but the next second he heard Grace say, Good, let him have it, we don't want it anymore. Marcus' eyes widened instantly, as the host's gavel dropped, finalizing the bid. 1 million, going 3 times, congratulations to this gentleman. The lights shone on Ethan, Marcus could no longer hold back, and stormed out, fine, Grace, since he's so biased towards him, you can live with him from now on. Ethan hadn't expected Grace to side with him, this time, but that was all it was. There was no flutter in his heart, no gratitude. All of this was what she owed Ethan, after so many years of marriage. Ethan had never gained anything from her, he had even put in a lot of money and things his father left him, but now, not only had he left with nothing, even the 1 million to redeem the necklace was borrowed from someone else. Since she was so ruthless, then he wouldn't be blamed for showing no mercy. When the auction progressed to the last item, Marcus and Grace had, surprisingly, returned at some point. Marcus even cast a provocative glance at Ethan. Ethan had a vague bad feeling. Meanwhile, the host on stage spoke excitedly. Next, we have our grand finale auction item. It's none other than the once wildly popular celebrated actor Ethan, and 99 scandalous photos with unknown actresses. The entire hall erupted in an uproar, but everyone still commented with relish on the explicit photos shown. Damn, are we even allowed to see this? They call them scandalous photos, but aren't they just explicit photos from his own affairs? Holy crap, there are even those kinds of poses. That's insane. He's too wild. No wonder Ms. Grace kept reconciling with him even after their divorce. Looking at it this way, there must be a reason why Ms. Grace kept divorcing. That scumbag, they should castrate him. Every word of the crowd's discussion fell into Ethan's ears. Ethan clenched his fists tightly, his face turning pale. Grace, to get back at her lover, actually gambled with Ethan's reputation. Ethan had told her about his plans for a comeback, but if these photos got out, how could Ethan return to work? Grace looked at Marcus, her gaze soft. Marcus, do you like your apology gift? Marcus' lips curved upward. Of course I like it. Ms. Grace truly played her cards well. Since that's the case, I'll mercifully forgive you this time. Grace hugged him, cooing softly. Thank you, sweetie, you have such a good temper. Marcus turned his head away haughtily. That's one thing, but he hasn't apologized to me yet. Grace instantly understood, and immediately had someone escort Ethan to Marcus. Ethan, apologize. Ethan bit his lip tightly, telling himself that such people weren't worth his sorrow. But he couldn't help but feel his eyes well up. What if I say no? Marcus suddenly kicked Ethan. A searing pain shot through Ethan's groin, and he lay down, convulsing. If you don't apologize, then I'll let your fans see how I deal with a sleazeball like you. Anyway, with these photos, public opinion can't touch me. Otherwise, how about I really cut it off? That way, I am sure you won't dare to compete with me anymore. He used the printed photos to condescendingly pat Ethan's face. Ethan sneered. Enduring the severe pain, Ethan abruptly got up and kicked him back. Ah! He let out a pig-like shriek, his hatred almost palpable. I am giving that back to you. Let's see who's really taking whose stuff. Grace saw this and immediately became enraged. She fiercely kicked Ethan in the stomach. Her high heels left marks on his body. Enough. Ethan, my patience is limited. Since you didn't seize the opportunity I gave you, don't blame me for being ruthless. With that, she simply waved her hand. The photos scattered like confetti, falling everywhere in the auction house. At the same time, bodyguards approached Ethan, carrying scalpels. The photos were snatched up by the crowd and quickly spread online. A freeloader who also had affairs. Why isn't this kind of man executed? It's a shame he used to have so many fans. Thinking about it now, being his fan is quite embarrassing. He's so small, with no capital at all. Who knows what those women saw in this pretty boy? The crowd's words were like sharp swords, threatening to push Ethan back. Meanwhile, Grace, holding Marcus, looked down at Ethan, still not going to apologize. Ethan smiled. Instead of apologizing, he struggled to his feet. A hint of confusion flashed in Grace's eyes. She seemed not to understand why Ethan was so stubborn this time, yet before, as long as she signaled, Ethan would obediently bow his head and apologize, regardless of whether he was wrong. Why did it have to become such a huge scene this time? Ethan, undeterred by the rumors, stood straight again, and sneered. You know best who really had affairs. I am upright and not afraid of what people say. Unless you kill me right now, I will definitely fight to prove my innocence. Do you have any other tricks up your sleeve? If not, I am leaving. The entire hall erupted in an uproar again. Unlike the previous mockery and slander, this time it earned him more respectful gazes from others. But panicked, she vaguely sensed that Ethan was serious this time if she didn't say something soon. Perhaps Ethan would truly leave this time. She took a step, just about to say something, when a group of bodyguards burst in and shielded Ethan. I am sorry, Ethan, I am late. Ethan looked up and saw the familiar face. The strength he had barely managed to put on almost faltered. Sarah, why are you here? Sarah was covered in dust, her breathing still a little uneven. Her expression became very grim when she saw the situation. When she looked at Ethan, her eyes held a suppressed heartache. If I hadn't come, you would have been bullied again. Ethan, you need to know, no one is more important than you, and no one can insult you. With that, she turned to look at Grace. Her gaze was icy, almost freezing everything around her. Grace, when you married Ethan, you promised his parents you'd take good care of him for life. Is this how you're treating him now? This is a family matter between Ethan and me. It's not your place to interfere. With that, Grace spoke to Ethan. Ethan, come here. Your punishment ends here. Tomorrow we'll reconcile, and you better behave from now on. Don't cause me any more trouble. Ethan found her words utterly ridiculous. What made her think that after treating him like this, Ethan would obediently go back to her? Seeing's lack of reaction, Grace frowned slightly. Ethan, I know you're angry, but if you hadn't insisted on upsetting Marcus, I wouldn't have been so cruel. I promise you, after we reconcile this time, I won't bring up divorce again, and I'll clarify all those photos for you. Her tone was somewhat strained, though she was trying to keep Ethan. Her expression made it seem like she was granting him a great favor. Before could speak, Sarah sneered. You should clarify, but not at the cost of Ethan reconciling with you. Ethan doesn't want to jump into a pit like that, and I won't let him jump back in. As for the photos, I believe my lawyer will have a good talk with you. Ethan, let's go. With that, Sarah took Ethan's hand and turned to leave. Seeing this, Grace was about to chase after them, but as she took a step, Marcus stumbled and fell to the ground. Ms. Grace, I am in so much pain. Grace hesitated for a moment, glancing in the direction Ethan had left. Then, without hesitation, she helped Marcus up to the hospital. Ethan happened to take in the entire scene. His heart, however, was completely unmoved. Still can't let her go. Sarah's voice came from above. Ethan looked up, her beautiful eyes holding a hint of trepidation. Don't overthink it, Sarah. This time, I won't make the same mistake again. Thank you for helping me just now, but now, I owe you even more. Hearing this, Sarah's eyes curved as she smiled. In that case, just leave the photo situation to me. You always protected me before, but now I am in a position to protect you. Just try to trust me this once. Hearing her words, Ethan smiled with relief. Okay. After the events of yesterday, Ethan didn't sleep soundly. After much thought, he simply got up and went directly to the cemetery. That year, when Ethan and Grace first fought about divorcing because of Marcus, his parents somehow got the news and drove all night from the neighboring state to help Ethan out. Unexpectedly, they had a car accident on the way, and neither survived. After that accident, Ethan completely broke down. Grace also apologized earnestly to Ethan, knowing his mental state was constantly strained. She cancelled all her work and stayed at home with him, meticulously caring for him day and night. So, Ethan agreed to reconcile for the first time. Unexpectedly, that moment marked the beginning of Ethan's nightmare. He also never expected that the person who had so physically demonstrated her love for him would hurt him to this extent. Placing the heirloom pendant in the niche in front of his father's grave, Ethan gently ran his hand over the photos of him and his mother. What a dump this place is. Poor people can't live in good places when they're alive, and when they die, they can only come to this backwater. A male voice came from not far away, its tone arrogant. It was undoubtedly Marcus. Ethan, don't think that just because someone protected you last time, you can do whatever you want. This time, it'll make you pay a sufficient price for offending me. Someone. Dig up the grave. Ethan's brows furrowed tightly as he shoved away the group of bodyguards, rushing towards him. Marcus. Don't go too far. Marcus raised an eyebrow triumphantly. Ethan, I just want you to face reality. What if your family background is better than mine? Ms. Grace will always side with me. Even if I dig up your parents' graves, she won't blame me a word. Ethan looked at him coldly, then raised his hand and slapped him hard. You dare to hit me? Marcus' eyes were filled with disbelief. Are you all dead? Hurry up and do something. Now it's not just about digging up the grave. I am going to dig up his parents' ashes and throw them to the dogs. Hearing this, Ethan frowned tightly. Ethan wouldn't allow anyone to slander his parents, not even verbally. Seeing about to retaliate, the bodyguards behind Ethan, greater in number, finally made their move. They restrained Marcus, waiting for Ethan's instructions. Mr. Ethan, how do you plan to deal with him? Marcus struggled defiantly, yet showed no panic. Ethan, if you dare to touch me, Grace won't let you get away with it. If you still want to return to the Meng family, then let me go now. Ethan looked down at him, his gaze bland. Whoever wants to go back to the Meng family can go. As for you, I never intended to lay a hand on you. After all, not everyone likes to bully others by abusing their power, like you. But you must kneel before my parents' graves, and kowtow in apology. Hearing say this, Marcus became agitated. Why? And don't give me that condescending look, as if I am some ant beneath your notice. What I hate most is your arrogant demeanor. You talk a better game than you play. Don't you think you wouldn't bully others by abusing your power? Well, today I'll tell you a secret. I was actually the one who told your parents about your divorce from Grace back then. I didn't expect those two idiots not only failed to convince you to divorce but also got into an accident on the way, causing Grace to be stuck by your side for a whole month, with no time to be with me. Hearing this, Ethan's movements froze, his pupils constricting. What did you say? Seeing's reaction, Marcus said smugly, I thought you two would divorce because of it. Who knew you'd be so shameless, clinging to this family and refusing to leave? Hearing his words and his utterly unapologetic tone, Ethan clenched his fists tightly, his fingernails almost digging into his flesh, his eyes filled with deep hatred. So, all of this was because of him. If it weren't for him, Ethan's parents wouldn't have lost their lives. The immense hatred almost overwhelmed Ethan. Ethan, go to hell. Stop it. Grace rushed over, with Chloe trailing beside her. Freeloader, bullying my uncle again. Chloe ran over and shoved Ethan hard again. This time, Ethan didn't indulge her. He slapped her hard and then pushed her down with even greater force. She looked up at Ethan in disbelief. You hit me. You never used to hit me. Ethan looked at her and said firmly, not anymore. From now on, I'll pretend I don't have a daughter. Chloe was stunned by Ethan's words, forgetting even to get up, sitting blankly on the ground. As soon as Grace arrived, she shielded Marcus in her arms. Ethan, you really too disobedient. You actually dared to lay a hand on Marcus. I thought the last lesson I gave you was enough. It seems you still haven't learned your lesson. Grace had brought more people, and Ethan's people couldn't stop them, but wasn't scared. Instead, his gaze was fixed directly on her. When it was time to speak, Ethan's eyes couldn't help but redden, and he questioned her, fighting back tears. Grace, I only have one question. You've always known that Marcus was responsible for my parents' deaths, haven't you? Hearing's question, Grace froze for a moment, then she guiltily averted her gaze, her tone softening slightly compared to before. Ethan, listen to me explain. Marcus didn't mean to do it. He didn't want something like that to happen. Ethan's legs felt weak, and he nearly lost his footing. In that instant, Ethan felt utterly ridiculous. The reason Ethan had kept agreeing to reconcile with Grace was because she had been with him through the darkest period of losing his parents, making him feel that in this world, besides his parents, she was still the one who loved him the most. But now Ethan knew that she had always known who the culprit was, and had even concealed it for them, until now, from beginning to end. Ethan was the only one kept in the dark. Seeing's reaction, a flicker of remorse crossed Grace's eyes. Ethan, it's all right. Wasn't I always by your side back then? With me beside you, you won't be lonely, right? I don't blame you anymore. Let's reconcile right now. From now on, I will definitely cherish you with the love of your parents as well. She pushed Marcus toward the bodyguards and extended her arms towards Ethan, wanting to hug him. Ethan watched her slowly approach him, and cried out in anguish, get lost. You don't deserve to be compared to my parents. She froze for a second, then still walked towards Ethan. Seeing this, Ethan directly pulled out the knife from one of the bodyguards. He raised his hand, intending to stab her, but's wrist was grasped, and the knife was snatched away. Ethan, a scumbag like her isn't worth you laying a hand on. You still have a bright future ahead of you. The moment Ethan saw Sarah, he couldn't hold back, and a tear fell from his eye. Sarah, do you know, My parents didn't have to die. Sarah held Ethan tightly, gently patting his back, to comfort him. I know everything now. Don't worry, I'll make sure they give you an explanation. A group of police officers burst in from outside, surrounding Grace. Ms. Grace, someone has reported you for infringing upon Mr. Eaton's image rights. Please come with me. Grace could have refused to go, but she looked up at Ethan's retreating back, and still chose to leave with the police. Ethan, I'll do anything if it means he'll forgive me. But didn't stop, or turn his head. Infringing upon image rights is a civil liability. Grace was not sentenced. After receiving a stern warning, Grace was ordered to delete the photos, and issue a public apology to Ethan to that end. Grace specifically held a press conference. At the press conference, Grace sincerely apologized, but as it was nearing its end, she orchestrated a grand public declaration of love. She looked deeply into the camera and began, Ethan, do you remember when we started our business? You endured hardships with me, and I said I was sorry to put you through that, and you said that hardships shared by two people weren't so bad. Back then, our wedding was simple, and you said I had to compromise, but I didn't feel wronged at all, because I loved you. I know I lost my true self towards you, which is why I meticulously planned this declaration. Every arrangement is just as you dreamed our wedding would be. My people are already on their way to pick you up. If you're still willing to give me one more chance, please come to me, okay? With such a display, people forgot her apology to Ethan. They only remembered this grand declaration of love. Everyone waited together, but at that moment, Grace's subordinate ran in nervously. Ms. Grace, he's gone. Hearing this, Grace's lips, which had been curved into a smile, fell, her expression showing a rare anxiety. Useless. You can't even find one person. Keep looking. One after another, the people Grace sent returned, but the news they brought back was always the same. Ethan was gone. Grace completely panicked. Her heart sank fiercely to rock bottom. She remembered the last day she saw Ethan, when he was holding a knife, wanting to kill her. At that time, the hatred in his eyes deeply pierced her. She had never seen that kind of look from Ethan before. Even when he had suffered great grievances before, he had never shown it. So, the moment she saw the hatred in his eyes, Grace admitted she was scared. She was afraid Ethan would hate her forever. So when the police came, she cooperated with the investigation, but she never imagined he would disappear, would abandon her, and never see her again. At this moment, Marcus walked up to Grace, comforting her softly. Ms. Grace, maybe Mr. Ethan is just too angry and wants to make you feel a sense of crisis. He loves you so much. He'll definitely come back. Yes, he loves me so much. He wouldn't abandon me, Grace murmured, and ran out. Seeing this scene, Marcus bit his lip in frustration. He's just playing hard to get. You shouldn't care about him so much. Grace, uncharacteristically, snapped at Marcus. Shut up. Don't show your face until Ethan and I have reconciled. He's angry, so he naturally wants me to look for him. I am willing to coax him. Marcus' eyes widened. Ms. Grace, if you want to get married, I can marry you too. We, along with Chloe, can live a good life together. Grace met Marcus' hopeful gaze. The next second, she raised her hand and slapped him hard, then grabbed him by the throat with both hands. You think he worthy of marrying me? Even if Ethan and I reconcile 10 times, 100 times, the position will never be yours. I only spoiled you for a few years because you were a novelty. Do you really think he's so important? Chloe hadn't expected such a scene. She patted her mother's hand. Mom, that's Uncle, not Daddy. Daddy already abandoned me. I don't want Uncle to abandon me too. Hearing say this, Grace's heart ached even more. Even knew the difference in how she treated Marcus and Ethan. Back then, she actually thought she was treating them equally. Grace looked coldly at Chloe. Then do you know why your daddy left? Chloe scoffed. He just didn't want me anymore. That's why he left. It's all because of him. That's why your daddy left. If he hadn't sent that message, how could your grandparents have died? Marcus was shocked. Ms. Grace, you said you wouldn't blame me. Grace screamed hysterically. No way. It's all because of you. If I hadn't helped you hide it, Ethan wouldn't have blamed me. Chloe froze in place, not interceding for Marcus. Marcus struggled for breath, and as he neared suffocation, he was finally released. Lock him in the basement. When I find Ethan, I'll let him deal with this man himself. Ethan's phone received calls every day. Perhaps knowing Ethan couldn't be reached there, Grace started calling Sarah. Ethan, is that you? Are you finally willing to answer my phone call? Grace's surprised voice came from the other end. Ethan, where have you gone? I can't find you anywhere. Ethan didn't answer her, simply spoke calmly. Grace, you were the one who suggested divorce. Don't harass me anymore. Grace's voice was frantic. Ethan, I regret it. I shouldn't have divorced you. The law couldn't punish Marcus. So I've already taught him a lesson for you. This time, whatever you want to do with him, I'll listen to you. Ethan sneered. Didn't Ms. Grace dote on Marcus the most? How can you bear to let him suffer now? Grace spoke anxiously. I only indulged him because he was a novelty. But in my heart, only you are the most important. Ethan scoffed at her. Then your deep affection is truly cheap. He deserves punishment. But the one who deserves it most is you. Hearing this, a spark of hope ignited in Grace. Ethan still cares about her. Then how does Ethan want to punish me? Ethan's tone was indifferent. Go die. Grace paused for a moment. Don't joke, Ethan. You love me so much. How could you bear to let me die? How about this? We reconciled 9 times back then. If you experience 9 near-death experiences, then I'll see you. After saying that, I hung up the phone. After coming abroad, I still didn't give up acting. Those people wanted to ruin my career by destroying my reputation, but I insisted on going against the current, even if it meant starting over with a tarnished reputation, even if I was so tired I only slept 4 hours a day. Yet, I felt a fulfillment I had never experienced before. After returning the phone to Sarah, I continued to delve into my script. Sarah looked at me, her eyes shining. Ethan, I love every version of you, but what I love most is seeing you shine in a career you're passionate about. Hearing her say that, I paused slightly, my ears turning red. Sarah's feelings for me were quite obvious, but I no longer dared to trust in love. Sarah, I began hesitantly. Sarah looked at me with gentle eyes. I haven't cared for all these years, so you shouldn't feel burdened either. I had thought my words back then would make Grace back down. I hadn't expected her to actually do what I said. When she found me, her face was pale, and she looked utterly dejected. Her lips were deathly pale, clearly a sign of significant blood loss. Seeing me, she smiled with satisfaction. Ethan, I've done everything you told me to. I also made Marcus go through everything you experienced. Can you forgive me and come back to me? I curled my lips into a smile at her, parting them slightly to speak words that were utterly cold. No. Grace froze. Ethan, you clearly promised me. What did I promise you? I only said I'd see you once. Now you've seen me, you can leave. Grace's face went white. No, Ethan. You can't do this to me. I've already paid the price. Can't we go back to how we were? Hearing her naive idea, I couldn't help but sneer. Grace, I gave you 9 chances. But what did you do? Do you need me to remind you? Ethan, it was all my fault. But I love you. I can't live without you. I didn't listen to anything else, she said, because every extra second of listening made me sick to my stomach. In the days that followed, Grace kept appearing like a persistent shadow. After witnessing my resolve, she never approached me again. Instead, she watched me from a distance. A year passed like this, and I won the celebrated actor award again. When my celebration party was held, Sarah orchestrated a grand public declaration of love. The constant presence of her, who had been by my side since childhood, now merged with the woman who still stood beside me. Her quiet, persistent devotion gradually allowed me to slowly lower my guard. Perhaps people and love are inherently complementary. There was no need to waste my entire life because of one misjudgment of character. So, I accepted her proposal, and taking the initiative, I proposed to her. But at the proposal site, a disheveled woman suddenly burst in. Grace had been juggling things, and in the end, not only did her company fail, but she also became completely demoralized. Upon learning I had accepted the proposal, she no longer cared about anything else, and rushed in to stop it. Ethan, you can't agree to this. Only I am the one who loves you most. Looking at her sincere gaze, Sarah and I exchanged a glance. Immediately, Sarah said coldly, where did this lunatic come from? Security, get her out of here. Grace refused to accept it and ran over, slapping Sarah across the face. I immediately stepped in front of Sarah, asking with concern, Sarah, are you okay? My action seemed to sting Grace. Ethan, your eyes used to only be on me. I didn't even spare her a glance. You just said it yourself. Used to be, from now on, I don't want you to appear in front of me again, otherwise, I won't see you ever again. After this incident, Grace was forced to return stateside. In the days that followed, I truly never saw her again. The next time I heard about her was at Sarah and my engagement party. A friend who came to find me told me, Grace's company went bankrupt. Marcus had been tortured within an inch of his life by Grace. Upon learning that Grace had lost her influence, he jumped into the river in a suicide pact with her. Chloe became an orphan and was sent to her grandparents. She called me using her grandparents' phone, but I only answered the first one. Daddy, I only have you. Listening to her cautious tone, I felt no ripple in my heart. Don't call me Dad. I don't acknowledge you as my daughter. After that, I never answered her calls again. Years later, Sarah and I had our own child, but one day, I received a phone call from a police officer stateside. Chloe had been spoiled since childhood, and her grandparents couldn't control her at all. At such a young age, she had already gone astray. The police called me, asking how I wanted to handle it. I said indifferently, just let the law take its course. I won't get involved with her. From the other end, Chloe's cries came through. No. You can't just abandon me. Without hesitation, I hung up the phone. Turning around, Sarah was running over, holding our child. Honey, listen, I can say Daddy and Mommy now. I looked at her, the tenderness in my eyes becoming tangible. My most beloved family members were right by my side. My life had just started to get on track. From now on, my future was secure, free as the wind.